Sorry, 1 second. All right, you all good? All right, good afternoon. Thank you for being here this afternoon. Chief Mike Soelberg with Gilbert Police Department. Thank you for being here. I'm here to update you today on our teen violence investigations and want to let the community know that we're making significant progress on our cases. Thanks to our citizens and the media who have brought forth information just in the last 30 days. As a recap, in January of 2024, we've made 22 arrests related to teen violence. The great majority of these arrests came from information we received from the community, who have helped bring forward this information to us in the last 2 months. Since we met last Thursday, we've made 6 arrests. I want to go into detail of what those arrests involved. Of those 6 arrests, they involved 4 different cases. On Thursday, January 25th, last Thursday after our media briefing, we took into custody a 17-year-old juvenile, and he was charged with aggravated assault. This was regarding an assault that occurred at a house party here in Gilbert. On Tuesday, January 30th, we arrested 2 individuals. 19-year-old De Leon Haynes, and he was charged with aggravated assault and aggravated robbery. And that was in regards to an in-and-out case here in Gilbert. And then we also arrested the 17-year-old juvenile and charged with aggravated assault and aggravated robbery in that same in-and-out case. On January 31st, yesterday, we arrested 3 more individuals. 17-year-old juvenile, and he was charged in 3 different cases with aggravated assault. One involved an assault at a house party, one involved an assault in one of our town garages, and the third, an assault at the in-and-out. The second individual arrested yesterday was 20-year-old Jacob Pennington, and he was charged with aggravated assault. That name may seem familiar to you. That is the individual that was arrested by Pinal County earlier this month, and he had since been released. We arrested him yesterday, and he was charged in regards to an assault at in-and-out. The third arrest we made yesterday was 18-year-old William Owen Hines, and he was charged with 2 cases for aggravated assault. 1 case at the in-and-out and 1 case at a house party. We're currently working on 9 active investigations. Those 9 cases, 2 of those involve threat cases, 3 of those involved assaults at in-and-out, and then 4 assaults at other locations in Gilbert. Due to all this new information coming forward, we anticipate more arrests will be coming. So we will be providing you those updates, as I said before. As soon as we make those arrests, we'll get that to you. We want to encourage individuals to continue to provide information like they have been for the last 30 days. The community tips and media support are what's driving this new information and allowing us to make these arrests. Remember, these cases remain fluid, and as we get new information, we will provide you with updates. Our goal, our number 1 priority, is the safety of our community. We will continue to actively work these cases. And I'll reiterate again what I've said before. If anyone has any information about any crimes that happened in the past or potentially in the future, please reach out to us and provide that information, or in whatever jurisdiction you live. Our goal, as I said, our number 1 priority is to maintain the safety of our community, and we need the public's help in doing so. With that, I'll take any questions you guys may have.
Hi, Chief. Alexis with Arizona Gambling. You've often spoken about people coming forward if they have any knowledge of past incidents or perhaps future incidents. Has there been a case where you guys have been able to know about something before it happens and have been able to stop it?
In regards to teen violence, I don't have any examples to give you where someone told us it was going to happen and we were able to get there. Now, what I can tell you though, we do have that happen where we get information. A lot of times we get it from our SROs or from kids saying, hey, there's going to be a fight at X location after school today. And when we get that information, we'll flood that area. I can't guarantee that they didn't go somewhere else to have that fight, But in those situations, we do proactively respond to calls where we get information about an assault may occur or any other crime.
Hi, Chief. Bianca with Channel 12, and I apologize for walking in late.
It's okay.
We had reached out to In-N-Out on Monday, hoping to get a response from them in terms of what they've done to make their premise safer. We still haven't heard back from them. I'm curious what conversations GPD has had with In-N-Out, and if so, what their response has been to you guys.
Yeah, throughout, even before we were having issues with teen violence, they're a partner in our community, just like any other business. And so we work with them just like we do any other business to ensure safety of their business and everything around them. So we've had that relationship. Every business is different on how they respond when incidents like this happen. It's their property. We do rely on them in an instance where we may have people loitering or hanging out. If they're okay with that, that's up to that business. But if on the other side, if they want them removed, it is their property. We can ask them to move on. And so throughout our calls for service, the ones we've been looking at for the 4 years, that has happened, where they've reached out to us. We've relayed the message based on what their desires are, but they are a willing partner. They obviously want a safe business as well.
Hi, over Stoles, KTR News. We know when Jacob Pennington was arrested in Pinal County, he stated that he was affiliated with the Gilbert Goons. Has that come up again during your interactions with him?
So any conversations we've had with him or any of the other individuals involved in our cases, that information is being diverted to our 6 agencies that are working the goon investigation so that we can establish what connection to any of these incidents, both in Gilbert and in other cities, what connection they have with everyone. So that is being done, but I can't provide you with any information at this time as far as that investigation at this time.
In one of the instances, or I guess in many of these cases, we've heard about people who are afraid to come forward and report any crime because they're afraid of retaliation. What is the department doing in terms of trying to get community members to come forward with any information they may have, but also making them feel safe enough that they won't be a part of another crime?
Yes, no, and I understand their concern, and we've had cases where some have come forward, but they don't want to assist in prosecution. We've had 4 cases like that where we could make an arrest, but they don't want to assist in prosecution for different reasons, and that's within their rights. But what I would say to any of those individuals or anyone else that's listening is that we can only prosecute those who we can establish probable cause. We need the assistance. Now, in some cases, we can proceed with charges without the victim, and in some cases, we are looking to do that. I understand the concern, but relay that concern. If you have concern that's why you're concerned about reporting it or that you don't want to be part of the process, we can explain that process. We do have victim advocates as well, both within the department and within the prosecutor's office and the courts that can help guide them through. And if they feel they need an injunction against harassment, order of protection, that's always an option as well. But anytime we need to know of those threats, so whether it's perceived or actual that they're getting threats, but if they're just concerned about getting those threats, relay that information and we will work with them to get that information. Because as I mentioned last week, even if we don't proceed with a case, if we can gather intelligence and information about the individuals that are doing these crimes, we may be able to help connect other cases, even though that one may not proceed.
Hi, Ashley Holden with ABC 15. I have just a few questions that I think will go in series. You said 22 arrests in January of 2024. Were those 22 separate individuals? We know that we've had some people that were arrested for multiple cases. Do you know how many people have been arrested?
In those 22, so as I mentioned in the 6 just this last week, I mentioned where one individual was arrested for 3 different cases. So when I talk about number of arrests, if it's each individual case, if we're arresting that same person 3 times, I'm counting that as 3 arrests because we are clearing 3 cases on that individual. So I don't have the total tally of the total number of people, but we do have that information on how many have been charged on multiple counts.
Chief, Santa Cruz with the Arizona Republic. There was a victim that spoke at a legislative hearing this morning, a victim of attack, and they said, they were attacked in December 2022. So when they were attacked, he said this morning that police told him at the time that there were 5 similar brass knuckle attacks that month. Can you verify that information? Was that widely known within the department? And what did police do with that information? Did your department do with that information?
So I'd have to look at the 5 that he's referring to. But if you look at the cases we had at the house party in December of 22, where brass knuckles were used. We had In and Out where brass knuckles were used. Our other incident in December, now keep in mind, a couple of those incidents where we now know that they occurred and brass knuckles were used, we didn't know about those incidents till late December, January. So at the time, I can't speak on what that victim heard or perceived, the information that was provided, but I can tell you in the majority of those cases that we've charged now, we didn't have that info. They weren't even reported until in the last 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks.
Chief, your department has acknowledged in one reopened investigation, the August 18th In and Out attack, that a lead was missed and should have been followed up on. I believe that was what we found in the report that we got earlier this week, and that was a witness and their phone number had been provided and that person was never called. What changes are you making internally to ensure that type of miss doesn't happen again?
Yeah, several things, and thank you for that question. You know, any case, whether it results in an arrest or not, we want to make sure that is there any type of improvement we can do in our process, our protocols, making sure everything's documented. And keep in mind in these cases, especially when it's a large fight like some of these have been, to where it's very chaotic. There's a lot of people talking, there's a lot of different things going on. And in this case, they missed that. Now, we were able to get that information when we reviewed the case with the detectives. They reviewed the body cam from the officer, and that's where we were able to obtain that information and then follow up on it. So we are looking into why it was missed, but at this point, it was a mistake, apparently, by the officer, not intentional. We did catch that once we did the review, and that's the intent. In these reviews, and anytime we review a report, we're trying to ensure accuracy and make sure that we have all the information in there.
I know that you said the Gilbert Goons investigation is still ongoing. I've seen pictures of many of the people that have been arrested together on social media in different groups. Do you believe there was a connection that was missed from the beginning?
So that will be part of the investigation into the Gilbert Goons and any other associated groups with those individuals. And I've seen the photos just as you've seen those photos. And that's what the point of that investigation is, the origin of those groups, if we can confirm they existed. And then any association amongst all the members, whether it's a gang member, if they are classified as a gang, or whether it's just an associate or just someone they know. So that will be in the investigation that we reveal later.
So the department on several different occasions has admitted that cases have had to be reopened, and some reports say Snapchat screenshots weren't uploaded as evidence. Is there a disconnect with officers and perhaps what's happening on social media or happening on the streets of Gilbert?
So no, in that situation, this case that you're specifically asking about, we have the ability through evidence.com. That's how we upload our digital evidence. We've made it very convenient for victims, witnesses, anyone who wants to provide us photos, videos, to provide them that link, and we rely on them to send us that information. And in that case, the officer reviewed thousands of messages amongst the individuals involved in that case. And when he received the case, he saw that not everything was included in that. And that was part of the reason why we reopened that investigation, because we wanted to get all of the information that we did not receive. And so it wasn't because the officer failed to provide it. Unfortunately, the victims didn't provide it. And so that's where we've gone back and asked for that information, and that's why it's still an active case.
Hi, Chief. Is there any indication that any of the suspects or families related to any of the potential suspects have tried to avoid police, leave the valley, or move away?
Not on any of our cases. When we've gone out to look for them, once we establish probable cause, we've been able to locate pretty much everyone that day that we've gone out to look for them.
Chief, it was previously stated that I think it was 0.07% of calls were related to teen violence over, I think it was 2022 and 2023, 2-year period. I'm not great at math, but I believe the math shows that's about 250 or a little over calls in 2 years. Is that accurate? And if so, how many of those cases are currently open?
It's roughly 260, and it was based on teen violence. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. Teen violence, where the victim and/or suspect were teens. So that doesn't include some of these cases because some of them involved adults. But we tried to capture what is that volume of activity amongst teen. We took out of those, if it was an ag assault on a police officer. So we're just focusing on teen. So we've reviewed the majority of those, and we're still reviewing those, some of those cases to see if there are any additional connections between, even though they may be a closed case. I don't have a count for you. I know some of you had requested that information. We're working on redacting that to get it to you. But your numbers are accurate based on the percentage. And keep in mind, it was based on those total calls for service for those 2 years and those that we could identify as teen being 14 to 18 years old.
Hi, Chief. You have been in attendance at the town council's subcommittee on youth violence. Last night, everything from criticism that you lack empathy to praise for acting quickly on the new leads. For you personally, hearing what community members are saying, has that been productive for you, or are there things that you're learning from that, or?
Yeah, twofold. We appreciate everyone not only providing us information about cases, but also participating, whether it be via email or coming into these teen subcommittee meetings to provide us information. We need the assistance from the community. This isn't just a police department issue. It's a teen issue throughout the entire East Valley, throughout the entire county, the state. And so we rely on our community for those solutions. And so we want to be active participants in that. And I understand my role, it comes with that criticism. We continue to focus on the safety of our community. I don't take any of it personally. It's all about the safety of our community. I understand people are frustrated and they want answers, and we are trying to provide as much information as quickly as we can.
Since the first of the year, have you or your department had any reports of large teen group fights?
So we received one case last week, and that's one of the active cases, and that came from another jurisdiction case. So it was a fight involving some of the individuals we've been looking at. That was a new case that we received last week. And then we had one incident over the weekend. Different individuals from all the ones we looked at, to where 5 individuals did attack a kid in a park. No brass knuckles, no injuries, but that is one of our new cases, is something that happened just this weekend. Different location as well.
I asked this 2 weeks ago, maybe prematurely, it was before any legislation was written, but now there is a brass knuckles ban on the table. It was heard this morning, and there was some conversation amongst legislators on what changes they may want to see moving forward. It passed out of the committee, so it's moving on. I'm curious to know what even your department's stance is on that.
Yeah, so as I mentioned 2 weeks ago, I am part of the Arizona Chief of Police Legislative Committee. So that committee will review that tomorrow and make a stance from ACOP. From myself, from the department, I did sign in support of that this morning, and for that bill. bills have a tendency to change, so every time it goes before a committee, before it's finally approved or not, we will always have that opportunity to weigh in, because they could change it to where we disagree with something, but as it stands today, I support what's been proposed.
Okay, 2 more questions.
It's been brought up today about missed leads or things not being uploaded as evidence. We've even asked about surveillance camera in the town parking garage. What has been your message to officers, and also what's your message to the community so that they know that you're taking these investigations seriously?
Yeah, and I would say if there's a mistake made, it's not because of lack of taking it seriously. We are doing everything we can on every case, not just teen violence, but every case, to make sure that it's properly documented, making sure that every lead is followed up on, and making sure everything is received. We do have incidents, like I mentioned, where we rely on the witnesses or the victims to provide us that digital evidence, whether it be photos or videos, and sometimes statements that they can send. There's different ways to send it. And we try to catch that if something was not submitted. We're working to make sure that we're looking at our processes to see if there's a way to have a stopgap, so to speak, so we don't miss anything like that. And that's part of a review of our cases to make sure that the flow of information, but the message to my people, as you asked, we've been reiterating to make sure, and they have, make sure they're doing thorough investigations, make sure everything's documented. If we need to do some follow-up, make sure either they or the detectives are aware of what needs to be done.
Last question.
Chief, some of the social media that's been attributed to the goons has demonstrated things that weren't violent acts, but in fact, things like street racing or dangerous driving, consuming alcohol.
Mhm.
I'm wondering, is there a manner in which you guys can attack some of that before it goes to the point where, you know, they're getting involved in dangerous fights?
Yeah, and I'll address that in 2 different ways. We've been talking about teen violence and group teen violence. Some of the individuals involved in these incidents, we have arrested for other things: drugs, DUI, reckless driving, speeding. So there are involvements we've had with some of these individuals. So that proactive, we hope that lessons learned, that they don't do it again, regardless of what the situation was. So we're always looking for that opportunity to educate the youth and adults of their poor decisions, whether it's criminal or not. But I go back to the other part of that is making sure that the community knows if they're seeing videos or photos of illegal activity. We've seen a lot of parties where there's just hundreds of people at that house, sometimes with the parents and sometimes without, which is concerning, especially when the parents are there. And to the parents out there, call us if you need help clearing them out. Just as simple as that. All right, that was it. I appreciate it. We anticipate a slight schedule change, but I don't know if it's gonna be Wednesday or Thursday. We have an academy graduation next Thursday afternoon. So we will let you know as soon as we get that solidified. And we'll continue to give you updates over the next week, and we'll give you the time for our next media briefing. Thank you, guys.